It is about 10:43, 10:45. I have to have my AC on. It is already hotter than the blue blazes. I want to give everybody a minute to check in. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm putting these little clips in my hair to hold my bangs back. Because I hate when my bangs fall forward when I'm working on stuff. And it was rather hard to do my hair today because I about cut half my finger off yesterday. Typing to me, okay. I'm just going to be making some earrings real quick so I can sit in the AC because David's mowing and I refuse to mow. I refuse to mow. My camera looks really, really like smudgy. Hang on, let me do this. Hey, there's just something. Imagine that, Elizabeth. My hair is pathetic. Yeah, that's better now. Okay, so yesterday I had a paring knife incident, which I put this on it just to keep stuff from touching it. But I cut down through my fingernail, and if I hadn't caught my fingernail, I would have probably took the whole corner of my finger off. It was lovely. First time in 45 years I ever cut myself with a knife, and let me tell you what, I have took plenty of stuff apart with a knife. I don't know what possessed me to almost hack my own finger off here. So I think it was where I used my hands so much Monday putting corn up that my hands were just having a derpy day, and so I was chopping kielbasa for David's lunch. Had a brand new pair of knives from Tupperware. The suckers are sharp. They're really good knives. And so if you haven't ever bought the 3-set from Tupperware, they're really great knives. They will go through your fingernail and almost to the bone. I finally got to stop bleeding. The nurse said give it 4 to 5 days to heal. My nurse actually came by like 30 minutes after I did it, and I was like, that was excellent timing. And she said, just give it 4 to 5 days to heal. And she said, then I can super glue the heck out of the top of the nail or take a tea bag and patch it and put an acrylic overlay. And she was like, then you should be good to seal it. And I was like, okay, because my initial instincts was just to super glue the crap out of it because I'm country. So today I've got to fix my hair. Today we're going to be making some, I'm hoping, bison column. This is hard to do with a finger that don't work, y'all. Today I'm going to be making some bison column bone earrings. If I can. I'm not saying I can because, y'all, and my RSD has not even responded to this. Like, I thought, oh no, I'm going to swell and my RSD is going to be like, ah. It's like, no, girl, just cut your finger off. We don't care. We're good. My RSD doesn't give a crap that I about cut my finger off. No, you don't care at all. But now, if I had paper cut myself, I would have swelled up like the Michelin, or the Goodyear blimp, or the Michelin Man. Listen, I look like crap, but the camera's mostly going to be on the jewelry, so we're going to get through this. So what I'm wanting to do is incorporate these, which is made out of bison bone, the little guy that carves them. I'm wanting to incorporate these onto some of these little basins that I'm going to put on fisheye hooks with the extensions, and make just some pretty dangly earrings. Now that is my hope. Will we get there? I don't know. I'm working one-handed today. Well, I'm working one-handed and about 3-fingered. You wouldn't know how much that disables you, but it really, really does. You can hear the mower go by the window. We have a squeaky wheel on our deck, and so everywhere it goes, it sounds like an old man rolling like a trolley. David's mowing is hilarious. So let's just jump right into this, and let's get started. Let me find the teeth I'm wanting to use first. And then I've got some other weirder things I want to do, but that requires David emptying out my bones that are on the back porch that have been cleaning and have been bleaching. I shall not be doing that because I have an open wound. I'm very careful with my health. So David will have to do that and get those to dry for me. Because I will not be handling that nasty water today. That will be his job. And it's like peroxide, but still, you don't know what has in it. I've got actually some silicone molds, but I hated doing the resin in the molds. I did a couple of bracelets, and I didn't like the way they came out. And actually made some queen jewelry to be sold at a queen convention, and I just didn't like the way they came out, and I wasn't tickled with them, and I didn't want to wear it, so I was like, well, I'm not going to ask somebody to buy it and want to wear it. Some people can make them so absolutely beautiful, and I cannot. There are certain things that I can't do, and that is on the list. That is one of the many. Y'all think I'm so handy. No. I'm really not. Ooh, and I did find these cute little turquoise tubes. They're not real, but they are so pretty. And so I thought that's also an option. And I found my bag of jump rings. I found my other jewelry tray that my mother left for me, because she used to craft a lot. She left me a lot of pretty little beads and stuff. So I may use some of those in here too, just to jazz it up a little bit. I want to stay as authentic as possible, but then y'all, sometimes we want to bling. We women want to bling. So we want to bling, we're going to bling. Now I'm going to do this, and I know I'm not going to have a lot of watchers today because it's Saturday, but I'm going to leave it up so that y'all can watch it as you come in. David has had the most uncanny 2 weekends off in a row, and he had his 8-year anniversary at his workplace this week, which was nice. They gave him an awesome little pat on the back and a gift card. It wasn't very much, but I mean, heck, anything sweet of him. So he felt kind of appreciated, which doesn't happen a lot at that workplace. So it was nice to see my husband feel appreciated. So he's had a good week. I've had a decent week besides cutting my finger. I'm not flipping it off. Cut my finger almost off. But it's just been one of those weeks. The road to mom is now, the river's now down. The mountain road is still kind of, yeah, no, congrats, Dave. 8 years at one workplace. Whoa. I told him, I said, we at least were loyal workers. When I worked, at least I was a loyal worker. Okay, let's see. First things first. I've got to make a plan of attack. Okay, first things first, I'm going to tip this down. Let me check my light. Yes, my light is working. I'm going to tip this down. Y'all can watch what I do. And it's going to be difficult with this finger, but just probably if you've ever wanted to make your own jewelry, it's not that difficult. I'm going to add an extra couple of jump rings just for movement. But it's not that difficult. You just have to play with it. If you don't want to waste money, watch me play so that when you go and want to buy the things that you want to make your jewelry with, you don't waste money on things you don't need. You can see exactly what I use and what you may need. So I'm still going to yap, but I'm going to tip the camera down and we're going to start working on this. I will try to check into the chat at hand. And yes, I'm wearing my Tom McDonald for 2024 presidential candidate. Listen, I love Tom. Okay, so what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our resin in our little basins here and put our little raccoon teeth in the basins, because that is the one thing I know has to happen before I can put the rest of these suckers together. And like always, I hold the basin level. Let me scoot over a little bit. You know, one day I'm going to get one of them fancy clip-on stands that gets all up in your business. I swear I am. I promise you I will. Okay, so what I'm going to do, the first things first, is put a little bit of resin into the basin, let it roll around so it's pretty even. Then we're going to drop our tooth as straight as possible, and you will see me use lots of things to get the teeth in there straight. I'm actually going to use the extender. And then you put that sucker under a blue light. And I've just got a little nail light, just the same as you would put gel nail polish on, acrylic nail polish on. I just got one of those. I hold it for the first I don't know, 30 seconds, and then I sit it down and let it go through a couple of cycles because I want these puppies solid hard. I don't want them to attract any dust or anything and be like, you know, still kind of wet on top. I want them to be solid hard and finished when the people get them. So now I'm just doing the other one. Ooh, dropped it way too early. That's okay. We will use our little thing here and push the raccoon tooth up. And I try to match the raccoon teeth as closely as I can. Now listen, y'all, they don't have like, you know, insanely matching teeth, okay, the raccoons. And they don't go to the dentist. So when they don't have matching teeth or they have a chipped tooth, I can't help that. You know, I can't go out there and give a bunch of raccoons dentistry care. It ain't gonna happen. I wish it could, but it ain't gonna happen. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open on here. I'm gonna find which way it goes. I have to use my fingernail to feel. I'm gonna open the hoop down here just a little bit. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see how much of this bison bone's gonna take up. Okay, it's gonna take up quite a bit of this. So if you can see, that's all I'm gonna have to create another hoop. I'm gonna try to make it work because I have to create another hoop to then hook into the jump ring that is then going to hook into the earring. So it gets a little tedious at times trying to figure out if I'm going to have enough space or not. If I find out that I'm not going to have enough space, I have some really beautiful new Amazonite jewelry beads that I got in. I got in some Amazonite and some other ones. I got some Amazonite and some agate in. And so I thought, well, if that would work, I can do beaded ones and they will be just as pretty. But I like, for the native touch, I like to look at the bison bones column beads first because I think that they are beautiful. So I want to use those first if possible. So I'm going to hook this one already on here and I'm going to twist and close my little doohickey down here. I'm going to halfway close it before I put the thing down here. And then I'm going to finish closing it after I've got the thing on it. And you make sure you run your nail down there and you make sure you don't have a gap. And if you feel a gap, you straighten it up and you pinch her again. And you want it to touch that wire and be as close to closed as possible because you don't want somebody losing their jewelry before they even get it home. And that is my fear, is that somebody will buy something from me and it will tear up. So I'm like OCD. Now we're going to thread our bison column bone bead on. And y'all, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try with what's left to make a tiny hoop to go in a jump ring. If this is not going to work, then I'm going to straighten it and resort back to my first plan, which was beads. So what I'm doing is I'm just twisting that, trying to get a nice circle with enough left over to wrap around once that can still handle that jump bead going through. I do have other pliers, but I'm having a weird hand day because of my hand injury, so just bear with me. I would prefer to be sewing fur today, but because of my hand injury, I cannot. So, you know something, I'm going to cheat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend that down. I'm going to make me a little loop. I'm going to bend that down. To where it will go down into that column bone. And I'm going to put me a dot of resin, and I'm going to resin that sucker. Now, y'all may call that cheating. I call that being overly and amply secure that this person is not going to lose their jewelry when they buy it from me. So I'm going to pull that all the way out. I'm going to put just the tiniest little dot, even tinier than that, tiniest little dot of resin right there. I'm going to use this to poke through the resin to make sure I can still get through. And I'm going to push that resin down that column bone. And then I'm going to push that loop I just made down to the column bone. And I'm going to resin that loop down in that column bone. I'm going to put a jump ring on it so it's still going to move really good. But that way I know that this is not going to fall apart on these people if they purchase it. Because I certainly don't want that to happen. And I'd rather be extra careful as to try to work with too much or too little wire. Who we got down here? Oh, we just have a new one. Steve-O. Hey, Steve-O. Hey, Ashley. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Happy Saturday. The hubby's mowing and I'm making jewelry. I about cut my finger off yesterday. It was just first time in 45 years I've ever had a knife injury. But I finally had one. It was a really good paring knife from Tupperware. If you're looking for good sharp knives, Tupperware's got them. Okay, now that is secure. That bison bone bead is now secure to that little loop I made. Ain't going nowhere. So now we're going to get a jump ring and we're going to find the opening. We're going to crank her open a little bit. Now, sometimes I slide it down and do this. I'm working with one hand today, y'all. We're just going to do what we can do and do it the best we can do and call it a day. Now, I've got to get this through here, so give me just a minute because, as y'all know, my eyesight is not the best in the world. Let me lean back and... I swear I'm getting me a new kitchen light one day. It's going to happen. Okay, I put the jump bead on. Now I've got the bison bone and the basin with the raccoon tooth in it, and I've got the jump ring. Got the jump ring. And now I'm just going to put on my shepherd's hook. And I'm going to hang it to where I know that the tooth will hang the right way. The shepherd's hooks will screw you up, so make sure that you look at that. And I'm going to bend my ring back. Bend my ring back. That's why I try not to open them too awfully far. I'm going to bend my ring back, and then I'm going to pinch the whole darn thing together. Oh, I pinched too far. Hang on, I got to do it again. I'm telling you, working with one hand definitely puts me in a handicap. But that's okay. You know, I should have been more careful. I was actually being careful. I think my body was just having a day. But, you know, 45 years, about time, I guess, to nip myself. You would have actually thought I would have probably, as many animals and stuff as I've skinned, you would have actually thought I probably would have done it already. But nope, yesterday was the first day I actually ever hurt myself with a knife. And David gave me, oh, so much grief over it. I'll show it to you in just a second. So I'm just trying to bend this together, trying to keep them lined up because I don't want it to come apart. There we go. Now, so here's the first one. It's on a shepherd's hook and a jump ring. It's got good movement for whoever buys it. It's going to look great with somebody with long hair or long neck. Not me. I don't have a long neck. I wish I had a long neck. What is that? Reminds me of Littlefoot. Well, who have you been talking to? Who is the Hollister guy from Andy Griffith? Who did he play? Jack Prince. Who did he play? Oh God, yeah, his Instagram messages. Oh my God. Who? Why am I drawing a blank? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. I'm gonna have to Google that now. Well, that's kind of neat. I met Cooter at Cooter's Garage in Gatlinburg. Does that count? Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Shoot, my poor little brain is not working. Oh, here's my finger. If you want to see my finger. So I was chopping and it come down. I come down like that, and normally I have my finger pulled back, but it didn't. I don't know if I had a mislick or my hands were just not working, but it went through my nail. So I've got a U-cut on my nail. Had it not gone through my nail, it probably would have took the side of my finger off. Got a U-cut through my nail and down through my nail bed and toward my bone. Finally stopped bleeding. And so the nurse said give it 4 or 5 days, then I could super glue her shut. I don't like the live chat thing either. I forget it all the time too. So don't feel bad. It's screwing me up too. Okay, now we're gonna do the skin. Second verse, same as the first. I am later going to try to do my physical in the pool, but I'm going to duct tape a little Ziploc bag over my hand. I can only imagine chlorine water would burn like the dickens. So we ain't gonna do that. Well, that's neat. I'm glad you had that experience. It's always fun to meet people and realize they're just people. I always love it when people meet people, and it's like an eye-opening event for like, oh, they're just people, but it's always nice to like meet people that you respected and that, you know, did something, shaped your world in some way. I'm trying to get away with only opening that a little bit, but I'm gonna have to open it some more. One of the people that I met that changed my whole world was Peter Freestone, who was Freddie Mercury's personal assistant for the last 12 years of his life. He actually cared for Freddie till he passed. And that man is a doll baby. He is the most precious man I've ever met. He's a sweetie pie. I understand why Freddie wanted him in his world. He's such a calming person. And I call him Walking Xanax just because that's what he is. And we became quite good friends, and he checks on me. And he's decided this is the last year that they're going to have the Queen, North American Queen Convention. Of course, I can't go for my health. And he just had a rotator cuff surgery and has had some complications, which he's been very open about. I'm not telling his business. He's been very open about it. And he's not going to be able to go. And so and they're not going to have it anymore. So the only time I will get to see him now is if he flies into Atlanta to visit friends, and I'll have to go to Atlanta to visit, which we might do. I mean, we're both getting older, but we might. Our dream day is to have like 3 days where we can go to the aquarium and then tour the AIDS quilt thing that they have down there again, because it changes so much. Okay, I've got the raccoon tooth onto the extender. But we enjoy spending time with each other. We've turned into quite good friends. He just actually wrote a new book. If you're interested and want to go order it, you can go to peterstoneofficial.com and order it. Now I'm going to do the same thing since it worked so well last time. I'm going to bend that sucker down. I'm going to bend that sucker down and put it down in that bone. Okay, and then I'm going to put 1 drop of resin. Oh, now I'm going to sing Ralph Stanley. 1 drop of water. Rich man cried from hell. 1 drop of water. There's still no water hell. Y'all, if y'all don't think I'm country, 1 tiny little drop of resin I'm going to make sure the hole to the jump ring is still open, and I'm going to slam that buffalo bison collar bone up on that resin, and I'm going to put that in there for just a few seconds. And that way I know this earring ain't coming apart, and whoever gets it is going to have a lifer. So that makes me happy. I don't like, I mean, I know that sometimes things happen and things will fall apart, but I don't want to buy stuff to have it fall apart, and I don't want people to buy stuff for me that, you know, and have it fall apart. And lots of times when people buy stuff, I give them a card and I tell them if they have any problems with it, to give us a yell. And matter of fact, I had a little 8-year-old boy. His grandpa was the one that stained our house, and I offered to make his little grandson a coonskin hat, and he picked it up yesterday. And they sent me pictures of him playing Daniel Boone with his little airsoft, not his airsoft, his Nerf gun last night, which I thought was adorable. I'm going to open my jump ring up. I'm going to find the opening. And I told him, I said, no, listen, he's 8 years old. I said, as you grow, I gave it room to grow. I said, as you grow, if you need something added onto this band, as you grow, I said, you just come back and see me. And I said, I'll add more onto it so that your hat grows with you. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, it's your hat. We want it to grow with you. Now remember, put your jump ring to where when it hangs, it's going to hang the right way. These are the shepherd hooks. These shepherd hooks sometimes tick me off like none other. You would not believe it. Look, that one went together so well, and the other one was such a turd. And there is that one. So we have one set of bison collar bone with raccoon teeth and resin earrings that have a lot of movement and a lot of dangle. And will be a very pretty gift for someone, I hope, to enjoy. I enjoy making stuff like this. They're pretty from both sides, even from just the silver side, they're pretty. I enjoy making stuff like this. It gets harder as my neuromuscular disorder advances, but that's part of the reason I make this stuff is to fight my back today. My back is not doing good today. I'm going to be taking it easy because I'm going to be on the road tomorrow. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. I'm going to be on the road tomorrow, so I'm taking it easy today. Because I'm going to be on the road tomorrow. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of relaxing so that my back can chill. Because my back has been a booger the last couple of days. I don't know what's up with it. It's just being a booger. And I tell you, it needs to stop. Okay, let's make a big old wonky, another big old wonky set of these basin ear rings, these basin tooth earrings. And this time, I'm going to use these big old gnarly 3-prong teeth. I love these big old gnarly 3-prong teeth. Now, it takes a certain person to get away with wearing them. I'm not going to lie. You have to be willing to let people stare at you and ask you, what in the crap do you have in your ear? But for the person that gets a kick out of that, these are great. And so I know that there are people out there, because I love to wear them like this. I love to make people go, what in the crap? And so I like to make these so that my fellow what in the crappers have earrings to freak people out with. My huge coyote molars that I would wear a lot, I wore them to the post office enough that the little post office lady was like, I love them. Elizabeth, I love them. And I was like, well, next time I get a good jaw of coyote teeth, I'll pull, because they were the very back molars. So I'll pull the very back molars and I'll save them for you. And she's like, when will that be? And I was like, a few months. You got her started mowing good. And she's like, oh no, I can't wait for them. She's like, I love them. She's like, I'll buy those. Literally, I took them out of my ears. And she's like, that's okay. I'll take them home, put them in alcohol. That's fine. And she was like, I just love them. At the post office, I'm a post office girl. So I'm glad people like what I make. But getting strippy earrings at the post office was kind of silly. I thought, okay. So I've got these little filigree basins. I love these. These are these Tibetan silver, and they're the lever back. I love them. I love these suckers because once you put them in your ears, they ain't leaving you. And I'm going to put, see if I can get it up here. this weird 3-prong tooth in there. So it's going to have a tooth sticking out no matter how you get it in there. It's going to have one edge of the tooth sticking out, and I love that. I love that because it makes people do a double take, and I get a chuckle out of people that have to do double takes. And as always, I put just enough resin in there to hold the tooth, but I want people to be able to touch the tooth, so I don't put too much. The whole thing is that you have a tooth in your ear, and you want people to be able to touch it and see that it is real. So I put just enough resin to hold the tooth and fill the basin, but not to overwhelm the tooth. I still want you to be able to touch the tooth and know and see it's a real tooth. These are going to be like my style because I like the big chunky teeth, and my husband thinks I'm crazy, but I love them. And oddly enough, the weirder stuff that I make sells. I've got some small coyote neck vertebrae that are in my next batch of bones that are soaking, and I'm going to be making dangling vertebrae earrings out of those. And those are going to be for me because I made a pair and I kept looking at them. I gave them to David because David supplies me with all my craft stuff to keep my arthritis at bay. And so every once in a while, I'll give him stuff that I make, take it to a vendor sale. And I went with him that day and I said, if those don't sell, they're mine. I said, because I'm regretting saying that you can have those to repay you for all my craft supplies. Because I get online and I craft shop, and y'all, the man is sweet to me, and he knows that this is something I enjoy, and he just turns me loose. No more had I said that than a girl walked up and bought them. And I thought, I jinxed myself. So I'm going to be making me another set of those, and then I'm going to do one of the smaller ones because I have a shorter neck because I'm fat and I got big traps. And then I'm going to make the next set down into another pair of earrings for someone else. And then I'm going to try to make a completely ribbed necklace that has like a rib, and a dangle, and then a little bit of a chain going back. I don't know if I'll get it completed. It's in my head. It's living in my head right now, but that's where it's living right now. Okay, so I'm going to do the skin. Do a little drop of resin. Let it kind of roll around. Make sure you have your tooth the way you want it to lay. I normally lay it to where it gets the most grip in the resin as possible. And that one has got a little bit of a lift on it, so I'm going to put a little bit more resin in there because that tooth is lifting a little bit in certain spots. And I want it to have a good hold on the tooth. No tooth is the same, even though they come from the same animal and I match them. No tooth is really ever completely the same. You can get close when you match them from each jaw, but they're still really different. David cleaned a skull the other day where the raccoon and the bobcat both had huge abscesses that had messed up their jaw through here, so he couldn't do anything with the skull. So I said, well, I can hide that with feathers and stuff and put it on a dream catcher. Really, Ashley? When you going to rebuild a car engine? I helped my son take a Troy-Bilt tiller apart to make a motorcycle. But then I made him take it back apart to put my Troy-Bilt tiller back together. I'm not very mechanical. Your daughter... Okay, I've watched the Jason Aldean video, and I have looked at the lyrics. He makes no racial, cultural... He talks about criminogenic behavior and actions. Criminogenic behavior and actions touches all races, all creeds. And it is true that in smaller areas where people care more dearly for their history, their culture, their buildings, their people, they know, if you know a larger percentage of the population and you're bonded to a larger percentage of the population, you're going to care more for a larger percentage of the population. And when you feel that that population is in danger, you are going to take action. That is why smaller towns do not get hit with a lot of these atrocities we see in metro areas. Because number one, the people can't hide as easily. They can't blend into the rest of society. It needs to be re-released. It does, Steve-O. they if they're in a small town, they can't disperse and hide in the rest of the population because small towns, you look different. It did. It came at a great time. And they know that they will be grabbed by, some big old burly fella that lives in a small town and made to go see justice. And in big cities, they don't. And now they're coming out with this no cash bond, and they know that they're just going to get turned right back out. They're going to get to commit 3 or 4 more atrocities before they actually possibly get any community service, alternative sentencing, or any time in jail. We have ruined our judicial system. Okay, our justice system is now a criminal hug-a-thug program. Okay, and I'm a retired parole officer. Probation, parole, interstate compact, and I did I supervised the murderers and the violent offenders. So all we've done is create a hug-a-thug program. And let me tell you what, there's about 60 to 70% of those people that can be reformed if they run into somebody that helps them restructure their life. But if we're just going to turn them loose, they're never going to run into that person that's going to help them restructure their life, and they're going to continue down this pathway of demise. So all we're doing is hurting our own society, telling people you're not worth my time to help you become a productive member of society. And so these people just believe they're worthless. And so they continue with this nihilistic behavior of, if I'm worthless, everyone else is worthless. And they go out and they ruin communities. Your behaviors represent what is internally within you. If there's chaos within you, you will create chaos in the world. Our young people have chaos because they have no accountability to a higher source. They're nihilistic. They believe they are the alpha and the omega. They are the top of the pyramid. There is nothing higher above them that they can be accountable to. And that's just a lie, that we all answer to something. I love it when y'all hide messages. Well, see, it can be played on the media. It can be played on the media. It can be for CNN. They can all play that, but CMT can't? Really? But the reason they don't want it played, there's those, y'all. The reason they don't want it played is because it reminds people of who actually was committing the atrocities. And I watched I watched the video, and a lot of the atrocities were young, rich, stupid, whiter than me people. So don't pull this he's racist crap on me. Because he just was calling out criminogenic behavior, and that spans all colors, creeds, nations, cultures, everything. These people that are screaming racism might as well be spitting in the wind. Think it's raining. They're stupid. They're stupid. Stupid. But it's irritating because the things that we are, CMT has into is useless. And the things that we are allowing to continue are becoming the standard. And so the standard is, if I look different, act different, try to appear unique and extraordinary, then I can get away with anything. No, you're still a human. You still live in the United States, and you're still under the law of whatever state you're in, or the federal law if you break a federal law. It doesn't matter what pronoun you choose, what hair color you have, you should still be under the law. The law should completely be, a line that everyone has to maintain. But in our nation, we are turning it into a joke. We're turning it into a joke. Oh, yeah, I'm waiting for the trumpet to blow any day, Steve-O. I'm waiting for the trumpet to blow any day. Won't surprise me at all. Matter of fact, it'd be probably a sigh of relief. Just gonna say. I had some stupid idiot over here at 10:30 in my this little subdivision down behind me, behind the creek, discharging a handgun at like 10:30, 10:45 last night. Oh, I dropped a bead. That's okay. I'll pick it up. And I went on the porch after about a magazine, and I said, "What are we shooting at?" Because I just yelled because I knew they'd hear me. And it stopped. And I thought, okay, they were shooting at nothing. They were just out blowing smoke. maybe they'll shut up now. Nah, because I was fixing to go to bed. And then they start shooting again. So I go back out there and I go, what are we shooting at? Because I'll shoot at it too. And I'm just trying to let them know, hello, you're shooting very close to homes, And people think that, oh, well, if I'm a gun owner, I can discharge my weapon anywhere. No, you cannot. Tennessee state law, if you're a homeowner and you're a gun owner, you're under distress or being attacked, yes, you may use your weapon to defend yourself. But you may not discharge it recklessly or unlawfully and put someone else in danger.
Did you have time on that?
Not yet. I will in a second. Hang on. And
I'm gonna go back to
even hunters. Okay, I'll do it in just a second, honey. And even hunters have to be careful because if you're hunting, you can't discharge a weapon. You have to be 500 feet or more away from homes, residential areas. And I think for waterfowl, it's 250 because you're shooting up. So they have a little bit of kindness on the waterfowl hunters. But I mean, it's like learn the laws. And I can't believe how many people live in our nation, a nation of laws, and they're plumb stupid to the law. They don't know the law in their area. They ain't got a flipping clue. And stupidity and ignorance, y'all, is 99% of the reasons most people get put on probation. They just, I didn't know. Well, the judge don't care that you didn't know. The state of Tennessee don't care that you didn't know. And all your 17 friends in EchoPod really don't care that you didn't know. So, sorry about your luck, And that's just kind of the way you have to look at it sometimes. And I called dispatch and I said, listen, we've gone through about 2 magazines. I'm wanting to go to bed. I'm getting tired of this. I said, can you get a presence out here to let them know that this is not appreciated and needs to stop? And they said, yeah, we'll get somebody out there in a minute, Elizabeth. And I said, okay, thank you. Now, I am retired law enforcement, so when I call dispatch, they normally do listen to me a little bit more than they listen to other people. But it's 10:30 at night, just out discharging a handgun, and there are kids in that little subdivision over there. No. And I'm not going to let that happen. No. I read my Bible verse, but when I was a little girl, I always noticed that my Bible always fell open to Ephesians 6:12. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, that scared the crap out of me when I was a little girl. Every time my Bible would open, it would fall open to Ephesians 6:12. Let me just drop everything today. And I thought, what does this mean? And I think it was just the good Lord telling me you're going to have a fight on your hands in your lifetime. Be prepared. Because I'm here to tell you, and I've still got that little Bible. Every time that little Bible came open on its own, it came open to Ephesians 6:12. And if you haven't read Ephesians 6:12, as a 10, 12-year-old in Bible study, it will rock your little world. It'll make you think. And I realized at a very young age that my life probably was not going to be easy because I took that as a sign that the good Lord was telling me, hey, listen, you're going to have a hard life. So trust in me and we'll get through it. And he didn't lie. He didn't lie. He told me the truth. I'm making a beaded one now, so let's see what it looks like. Yeah, homeschool. I was lucky because my mom was a teacher, so I had a parent. My entire elementary experience, basically, almost, I had a parent at school. She was a bookkeeper for a long time, and then she was a teacher. So my entire elementary experience, I had a parent at school. Of course, I was a good kid, so it didn't matter. I didn't care if my mom was at school or not because my behavior was the same anywhere. I was a good kid. But when I went to high school, things were definitely different, and we had you start to watch your friends change in high school, and they really want you to change with them. And I never understood why people felt that you couldn't be friends unless you changed with them. And I thought, I don't want to change with you. I want to be me. Why are you wanting me to be like a mirror of you? And so I had friends in all groups, but I was very much a standalone person. And so I could conversate, mix, and blend with any group that was at school. But I chose pretty much to hang with the agriculture, the FFA crowd, and just be quiet. Just be quiet and watch, because I noticed a lot of people that went against how they were raised, went against their own morals. I'd known these kids since kindergarten. They went against their own selves to belong in a group of people that in 3 years would not care about them. And I thought, why would you ruin yourself? Okay, so I've got a wooden bead, I've got an Amazonite bead, and I've got one of those sparkly beads, and I'm going to put a tooth there. Yeah, Ephesians 6:12 ring your bell, won't it, Steve-O? Imagine being a 10 or 12-year-old, and of course my dad was a pastor, but imagine being that young, and every time your Bible opens, it opens on Ephesians 6:12. And you're like, I get it, God. Prepare for battle. It was an interesting little world I lived in as a child. So somebody said, well, these youngins listen to all this rock music is what's wrong. And I said, have you ever listened to bluegrass? I said, Pretty Polly, for example. My favorite version of Pretty Polly is Patti Loveless and Ralph Stanley. I think they sound so good together. But Pretty Polly is about a man that gets so jealous he murders his girlfriend. And In the Pines, oh, you want to get dark, go listen to In the Pines. Buddy. So, music has always, you listen to a lot of the old Irish music, it's got the same, it's kind of got the same drive. It's talking about death and stuff like that. But this lady was like, it's the music these kids listen to. And I was like, you like bluegrass? And she's like, yes, that's all I listen to. I said, Pretty Polly? She goes, oh, I love Pretty Polly. I said, you do know Pretty Polly is about a man that got so jealous that he killed his girlfriend. She's like, yeah, well. And I was like, oh, yeah, well. But I do believe that a lot of music that kids listen to, if you're not careful, will give them ideas about behavior, criminogenic behavior, criminal activities. So you do have to monitor what your children listen to, because, but, here's my thing, is I've listened for my entire life. I've listened to rap music, talk about weed, women as horrible things, taking your anger out on certain groups of people. And I ain't never heard anybody whine and complain about how they feel. Your dad was Steve-O, we're in the same boat there. I ain't never heard anybody whine and complain about how they feel rap music infringed upon them. Boy, you let a country song come out, boy, that country singer he's a racist. Really? Because the last song I listened to, I was called a saltine and told I needed to be eradicated from the face of the earth. Now, did that bother me? No, I know that's hate talking. And I know that most people that take time to talk, it's because they're too sorry to act. Big talker normally won't do nothing. So it's quiet ones you got to watch out for. I tell you, and I supervise murderers. I know these things. I never took it to heart, because I thought, this is how they're processing. This is how they're feeling better. I'm just not even going to worry with it. It's not worth my time. But it became a culture It became a culture, and we let it slide right by. And I'm just as guilty as the rest of us because we thought, oh, it'll never turn into anything else besides music. Well, here we are, turned into something else besides music. You know, and I want everybody to love their culture and celebrate their culture and celebrate themselves and be proud of who they are and where they came from. I don't want anyone to feel that they can't celebrate who they are. And I mean, anyone. You know, even if your ancestors did atrocities, you still need to know where you come from, understand who you are, so that you can, know yourself. You know, it leads to important questions and growth for a person to know those things. So why would we not want people, to know where they came from and where, so that they can have a better path of where they're going? And it's just pure insanity that people don't want people to know about themselves. They don't want people to know about themselves. They want to create the persona they want you to have so that it suits them and it suits what their motivation is for, whatever they've got going on. And it's like, it's so stupid, because if we all just got out and talked to each other, we'd all realize we're all pretty much the same, and we'd all probably get along just fine, and there ain't no reason for none of this stupidity. But once again, isolation, segregation, that is a very powerful ploy for politics, and we are living in the most aggressively political time, I believe, the world's probably since Rome that the world's ever seen. Possibly even more than Rome. But I've never seen somebody so scared of somebody's heritage in my life. Heritage does not create a bad person now. Heritage just tells the story of what happened then. But they're trying to say that if you have a specific heritage, you are just a bad person. Heritage has nothing to do with your heart. It tells the story of your blood lineage, but it has nothing to do with your heart and how you treat your fellow man. That's a heart issue. That is a decision you make as a human being each day to get up and how you are going to treat people. That has nothing to do with your heritage. It has everything to do with your heart. I'm getting real tired of people wanting to blame everything on heritage. When it's your heart. Your heart is how you deal with people. I don't watch the news. I watch independent news and stay away from mainstream stuff. And I do a lot of research and I do a lot of reading. Of course, I'm a master's in psych. So, and one thing I learned being a master's and getting my master's in psych is that psychology has done far more harm to the world than it's done good. Because once they found out how to understand the mind, they only wanted to control it. They didn't want to improve it, to better it, to make it well. They just wanted to control it. So all they did, I'm so blind, I cannot see what I'm doing. All they did when they finally got a handle on psychology was start to manipulate people. And it's like, hello, this is not what we were supposed to do. Psychology has been probably the biggest atrocity to man, that we've self-created, and these Edgewood Arsenal experiments and stuff like that. I mean, my God, if you look at some of the stuff that they've done to people in the name of trying to understand behavior, it's a shame. It's a shame. And a lot of people never read about these things. They never know about these things. A lot of people don't understand that your body is electric. You're basically a walking antenna and battery for your government. Just the same way a circuit board pings, your body electrically pings. The good Lord made us, but crooked man has certainly milked us like a freaking Holstein cow. But your body is electric. It is an electric antenna and battery, and we are being manipulated and used every day by our government as an energy source, and as a toy, basically as a toy, to see how we react, how we respond, what they can get away with, how they can control. They have gases that they can spray that can change the behavior of people. And they were used to research it. There was a lot of that used in the Middle East combat, so that no soldiers were harmed. They have chemicals they can spray that will control the behavior and basically sedate the people in the towns they're going in. Now, if we do use it on other people, how do you think they figured out it worked? Do you think they used it on us? I mean, it just makes you sit there and think about it for a minute and go, what have I been subjected to that maybe I don't understand or don't know? This is just me thinking. This is just me after reading all these books and doing all this research, thinking out loud. So don't everybody freak out. But it makes you wonder what your government's really doing. Steve-O, I don't know. Gosh, that was back in like the early 90s, like the late 80s through early 90s. And Lord, it would be on VHS if I had it. And I don't know if Mom's got into or not. I'd have to dig through her little treasure trove in the back room. But now my dad is, if you watched the video a couple days ago with my dad and his political views, you understand that my father is a very outspoken man. That's putting it very lightly. So if you haven't seen the I'm My Father's Daughter video, you need to go watch it, Steve-O. You'll get a kick out of that. But you can kind of see the Spitfire he was behind the pulpit in that. He is going on 71 now, so he's retired, and he still lives about a quarter mile from the last church that he pastored, though. He still lives way down there. It's where he's from. It's where he was born, so he still lives down there. But he's Spitfire. He's a Spitfire, and he don't care a bit to tell you. Ashley McBride's song "Bible in a 44." It's my daddy. It's my daddy to a T. My dad was a pastor. He pastored 2 churches in like 12 years. So he stayed for pretty long amounts of time where he stayed. But my family was also a little gospel group. And so we went all through Tennessee, Kentucky, sometimes in North Carolina singing. I played the fiddle. My brother played guitar. Me and Mom sung. I also played the mandolin if needed. And Dad played guitar and sung. And we had another friend with us. He sung, played guitar, his wife played bass. And we would go around and sing. I remember I spent 33 nights straight in church. That was the longest stretch I did every night in church. I did more homework in high school in church pews than I did at home. If that tells you how I was raised. So I had a really good support system and had a really good raising, and I saw a lot of different beliefs. We'd be at a Baptist church, a non-denominational church, a Pentecostal church. I was Pentecostal, I'm sorry. I've been at churches where you've had to stop, cross the creek to get to the church where my father said, if they break out the snakes, hit the door. Because I was a kid, and I was like, okay. So I've been in backwoods churches, and but I got to see a lot of different people. And here's what I have to say about these small town things. Let me tell you about my small town. My small town, if you go into the local, it's like hunting, trapping, fishing shop, you're going to have probably a black guy, a Chinese man, probably a couple of Chinese guys, because we got a pretty good Chinese population here. They come in, start a restaurant, and we love them. when the first of the family passed away a few years ago, the whole county mourned him because he was such a great guy, and he loved to bass fish, so he would fish in everybody's ponds. We all loved him and knew him. And as soon as you walked through the door of the restaurant, he'd be like, "Oh, you catch any fish this week?" And we'd be like, "No, not any good ones." And he'd hold up these pictures, and we'd be like, "Man can fish." And you'll see a black guy, a couple Chinese guys. We've got a pretty decent Mexican Latin population here. We adore them. Their daughter was like senior attendant last year or year before last. We embrace everybody. They're going to be playing dominoes, they're going to be playing cards, and they're going to be spinning yarns about life back then. And they're all going to tell the stories, and they're all going to listen to each other, and they're all going to agree with each other. That is a small town in Appalachia. Everybody thinks we are so homogenous, and we are mentally, because we love our small town and we love our gardens and we love our, the way that we live here. But we are not homogenous culturally. We have every creed represented here. And we love our neighbors. It doesn't matter what color they are. We love our neighbors. And we never even think about it. And people will say the worst things about my community. And I'm like, but do you live here? Do you go to town and see what I see? Do you see that when this family has a family member pass away, every color, creed, culture is taking a casserole to the house? I had to send out thank yous for everybody that sent something, donated to the cemetery, or brought my parents food. I sent almost 30-something envelopes out. Thank yous. That was my 93-year-old grandmother that had not been in the community in 15 years because she had been dementia and Alzheimer ridden and bedridden. It didn't matter. Someone passed. They knew someone was mourning. And everybody showed up with groceries. Everybody showed up with casseroles. Everybody showed up with baskets of flowers. And it's just how we are. And we don't care what color you are. We don't care what religion you are or what race or you are, or we just care that you're in our community and you're hurting. And that's why if you look at the pages I follow kind of an eclectic amount of pages. And my new favorite person to follow on YouTube right now is Little Bit of Nell. And her name is Chanel. I guess she lives somewhere up north. I don't know, but I am like, I'm her bona fide Appalachian sister right now because I love this woman. Like, if I live close to this woman, I'd be knocking on her door and bringing her lunch and going, "Girl, we got to talk," because she's just a joy. Just, you feel her heart when she does her videos, and she's got such a great comic bone. And I enjoy this woman. I enjoy her content. I enjoy her personality. I enjoy her heart. And that energy that she gives. And I'm like, man, she reminds me of, I have another friend that lives about 30 minutes away, and she's black too. I have a lot of friends all over the world and of all races and ethnicities, and I babysit her girls. And it's like, I look for that heart feeling, that heart vibe. Hi, Denise. I look for that heart vibe. I want to feel your heart. I don't care what you look like on the outside. Hey, I rode horses that went to the sale that they didn't think was worth $400, got them home, and they had a heart of a champion. So don't tell me that the outside counts for very much. There's my second set. That's a wood bead, an Amazonite bead, and then a blingy blingy bead. I'm sorry, that was my third set. I've made 3 sitting here talking. And I think that's all I'm going to do for today because my finger's throbbing. Listen, if you buy Tupperware paring knives, be careful because they are sharp. I'm 45. I made it to 45 before I cut myself with a knife. And of all the things that I've slaughtered and took apart, I'm amazed. I'm amazed I actually got myself, but I'm amazed it took me this long. But it went down through my nail. And my hands were just having a day, and I should have made David cut that. I should have. Hindsight's 20/20. But it went through my nail, and if it hadn't gone through my nail, it would have took the whole side of my finger and tip off because that knife, the Tupperware paring knives, the 3-pack, great knives, sharp, lovely knives. They're good, but boy, be careful with them. But I've got a big U cut out in my nail now, and that went down pretty far in there. It's bled down, but it's finally stopped bleeding. It went through some nerves. It didn't go all the way to the bone. So the nurse said let it heal for a few days, get all the blood out, make sure they get infected, and then I can super glue the hound out of it so I can get back to life. I'm redneck. That's what we do. I actually have some nail acrylic I may put on it. Yeah, I've got mine. Like literally, the guy that spitting distance, throw a rock. The guy that I used to show cattle and sheep for that passed away a few years ago. He was my second dad. I love the man. His family finally redid the home and put it up for sale. And a black couple bought it and moved into the area. For 3 days, we took cookies and casseroles and said, howdy, welcome to the neighborhood. I said, let me tell you about the man that used to live here. He would love that you turned this back into a family home. It didn't bother me at all. I'm just glad to have good, decent neighbors. Because I've got some that like to discharge their weapons at 10:30 at night. And they were happy. You know, they were, and it didn't bother them all to have a knock on the door and presented with a casserole dish or a cake or a pie. They loved it, and they loved hearing about the man that used to own the home because they know they have a happy home that saw a lot of happiness, and that now they're going to give it even more happiness. And so it's just, it's all the way you look at things. And it like I said, if you look for the bad, you will find the bad. If you look for the good, you will find the good. And if you're bent on destruction, you will create it. And that's why I keep telling people, put your energy where you know it's going to do good. Be careful where you place it because it will manifest whatever, you know, wherever you're placing it, it will manifest the same thing. Oh yeah, they're great. They're a beautiful family. And I've told them, anytime you need something, you yell at me. You know, I'm just throw a rock. You know, I'm right over here. And they're great. And I'm just happy that the walls of that home are going to hear laughter and children again and have a family in there and feel love because that home was love for me. That home was one of the places I was the most loved and the most accepted. And so I'm just happy that it's got another family in it because he lost his wife several years before he passed. And he was so lonely there. And I would go over and see him, but you can't, you know, an hour or two visit can't take away, you know, a week or two of loneliness at a time. And the house just seemed to echo without his wife. And he was a teacher and he did a lot of extracurricular work with the students for VICA and the Honor Society and stuff like that. And so he always had a full home. He always had something going on, or he was always preparing for a trip for the one of his little associations to take kids to compete, you know, and get college scholarships. And so to hear that home echo hurt my heart. And then when he passed away, he lived with his daughters down on the big farm for the last couple of years, and I missed him terribly, but I got to see him a couple times. I'd go down there. But now that I know that the house, they moved in and renovated, his daughter did, moved in and renovated, but they knew they were not going to stay there. They were going to go back to the farm. And I was kind of concerned about who was going to buy it. But as soon as I saw it was a family, I was like, no, that house is going to be happy again. It's going to be full of laughter again. And I don't care if they were purple, as long as they're going to bring happiness back to that home, and that home's going to have a heart fire in it that is going to make others happy and showcase family and family ideals. They're going to, and they have already reached out into the community and done so much. I just, you know, and I don't know why they want to think that Appalachia is such a bad place. Because our little community we're just a deuce mixture of everybody around here. And most of us are Irish and Cherokee, and if you go back in it, we've got a little tad of the Melungeons in us too. Well, the Melungeons have African Spanish, you know. And so we're kind of just a Heinz 57. And we don't hold any airs on ourselves. So we don't, you know, we don't think of ourselves as special, so we don't see why anybody else should be special either. We just treat everybody the same. And that's just how we are. Just how we are. And I don't care what color you are. If you're broke down on the side of the road, yeah, I may be careful about it, but I'm going to stop and see if you need some help. You know, it's just how we are around here. It's just how we are around here. So I think Jason Aldean's song was specifically just talking about criminal behavior and the criminal behavior that people in small towns that love their communities tightly, that love their people, their history, their buildings, that do not want to have to raise land taxes to pay for damage done by people that don't live there, we will step up and say, no, you may not do that here. We care too much. We care too much for each other. We care too much for our land, and we care too much about the financial responsibilities you're fixing to create for people that can't afford it. And we're just not going to take it. It was not about anything other than criminal behavior, which spans all of humanity. Oh my gosh, Steve-O, we must have been raised together. I was working tobacco farms before I went to kindergarten. You ever get to ride the planter and get your hand stuck in that wheel when you're trying to put the wheel that plants it? You get your finger and almost get your hand dragged down through it. And then your grandpa would turn the tractor and you get raised up and the water tank would slursh on your back and you'd be sunburned. And that would feel so good. And it was like an amusement park ride. Then you get sat back down and the wheel starts spinning. You'd have to stick the plants back in the little grippers. But if you got your finger in there, you'd have to scream, stop! Or you get dragged under the machine. And well, I would help top it. They would chop it and then I would hang it because I was nothing but knees and elbows. Imagine that in my young age. So I would help hang it. So, oh my gosh. And picking green beans with my granny was my favorite thing to do because we'd sing all the gospel songs we knew. So yeah, I've got so many memories. I worked tobacco, cattle, broiler houses. I took care of 3 broiler houses completely on my own. By age 11, 12, I was working them. I get dropped off and do them completely on my own. Saddle my horse up, ride down to the next one, take care of it, and then ride back up the road and unsaddle my horse. I was given a lot of responsibility, but I think it helped me become who I am today, and it gave me a better view on work ethic, and the people around you and how they work and how they handle themselves. So it's like, even though I'm disabled now and I have this neuromuscular disorder that some days does render me completely useless, if I have a good day, I want to try to do something that impacts somebody. And that's why I also still leave my number listed. And I have a lot of people that call me and they need a grant or scholarship bed for rehab. And if they take the time to call me or come to my front door, I will sit down with them and I will help them find a grant or scholarship bed for rehab. Because no one else will help them. So I'm still sending people to rehab even though I haven't had a badge in 5, almost 6 years. So it's just who you are, and your actions tell who you are. And when we see actions that are criminal, you should be able to say, no, I ain't for that. And it shouldn't be taken as a cultural thing. It should be taken as a criminal thing. And it pisses me off that they don't look at it that way. But, in the end days, good will be called evil and evil will be called good. No, they would pack baskets. They wouldn't bale it because we'd have to hang it by single stalks. Grandpa had one of the old barns. But I was so little and short, I couldn't pack it. So they put me on the wall and I'd hang it because I could climb. So I would get shuffled up and put in the loft and then put on the little catwalks to hang it. And would I do that to my own children now? No. Did it get done to me? Yeah. But I mean, I learned a lot from it. I knew how to hook up a 6-horse team by the time I was like 6. I knew how to work draft horses by the time I went to kindergarten. My grandpa and my family had draft mules and Belgians and a couple of Percherons. So it was just, you just grew up on the farm, you knew these things. Yeah, we still did it the OA where you hung at a single stalk at a time in the barn, and it took forever. Oh, it took forever. But we just had that one small tobacco base. So that's all we had to worry with. Now, the bigger tobacco bases, when I moved down toward Lebanon, the bigger tobacco bases in Carthage and stuff, they had big operations where they baled and stuff like that. I'm telling you what, there's nothing prettier than I would steal me a pretty stalk of tobacco and I'd make me one of those tobacco dolls to hang on my porch. And there ain't nothing prettier than a pretty dried stalk of tobacco. I'm sorry, people, there ain't nothing prettier. I mean, you can turn them into anything. You can weave them. You can cut them and braid them and string them and turn them into some of the most beautiful artwork. And people would make like a sweetgrass bow, but it would be out of tobacco. And there's just so much you can do with tobacco besides, chew it and smoke it. And I would always make me a little tobacco doll. And last summer I had to throw my last one I had away. Waspers got into her. And I tried to defeat them and it did not happen, so I had to throw her away. and I need to go and find me another stalk of tobacco to make me a tobacco doll. I just don't know if I did a lot of painting on her. I don't know if I'm going to do it again. But they're beautiful. They're beautiful, and they're set in Appalachian culture to take the place of a besom broom. But I normally have a tobacco doll or a besom broom on my porch at all times. Oh yeah, a lot of medicinal values. In the Cherokee, if you either offered sweetgrass or tobacco at all the ceremonies, that was it. Sweetgrass or tobacco. Yeah. I look like my Irish daddy, but my mama's Cherokee. I just got none of her beautiful attributes. My brother did. It's wasted on him. But, well, I think I'm done for the day. David's about done mowing. I'm going to go out and try to do my physical therapy in the pool if I can keep my finger dry. And I'm going to try to have otherwise a relaxing day because I'm going to be on the road tomorrow for a very special event. I can't talk about it yet. Maybe I can talk about it later. I have to get permission. Oh, your mom was British. Ooh, my first father-in-law was British. He was from Hackney. And he got a hobby farm. And he didn't know how to hobby farm. And I would try to tell him what to do to improve his hobby farm. But he wouldn't listen to me because I was a girl. And then he paid like several $100s for like this big special soil conservation man to come out and tell him what was wrong with his farm. And I stood there and the soil conservation man told him the exact same thing I said. I could have saved him several $100s. Yeah, he kind of face planted like, and then he started listening to me. But listen, if you look at a calf puller and go, what's that for? You probably shouldn't own a hobby cattle farm. Just saying. Just saying. If you have black, baldy, and Angus heifers and cows, mostly cows, and you go buy a Charolais bull, you probably shouldn't have a hobby cattle farm. Well, Gypsy, maybe I'll do a little video about it tomorrow then. Not a lot, but I'll have to be careful. But maybe I can do about the trip and stuff. Well, that's cute. That's cute how they met. That's sweet. See? And that's how we all just get mixed together and we're all Heinz 57. And who cares? You know, it's about here and here. It's not about here. And that's a good thing to end on. That's a good thing to end on. So my phone's ringing. It's Saturday. It's probably telemarketer. I ain't answering it. I'm going to go help my husband with the last little bit. And because, bless his heart, he has to stay outside while I do my physical therapy in the pool. I have to be babysat a lot. So I'm going to go try to help him for just a second. I think he's going to pick the last of the squash off that didn't get flooded. And, yeah, God knows your heart. And then I'm going to do my physical therapy. And then I'm going to rest because I have a big day planned tomorrow. So probably won't see me the rest of the day unless David wants to pop on. But I'm glad I got to share a few of my little earring crafts with you today. And, y'all, go out, hug somebody, have a physical interaction with someone today. Tell them you love them. Swap energy with somebody. This box is great. We get to meet lots of great people, but it does not take place of a true physical energy battery, regenerate, refuel, refill, spiritual energy swap. Go back out into communities and hug on some people and love on some people and remind yourself that we're all in it together. And let's stop breaking away from each other and let's start getting back to where we're caring for each other instead of where we're trying to pick the flaws on each other. Flaws are like fleas. You're gonna find a whole bunch. You get started, you're never gonna stop. Let's start looking for the good. I'll stop there. It's nice talking to y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see y'all tomorrow at some point. Probably tomorrow night. I'll be on the road tomorrow morning. But I love you, and I'll check in when I get home. Bye, guys.